Hi, this is Andrew Twidwell, owner of ABT Plumbing, Electric Heat and Air. Once again with the show You Got This. It's a show of DIY do's and don'ts. And we have another special show. We had a great one last week with Dee Dee Vieira from our HVAC department. And this week we've got Dan Foss here from our newly formed drain cleaning division. And we also have Rosalie in LA, who is our production manager extraordinaire for our shows and our marketing. So yeah, we got a show. So we were just kind of off air talking about stories about drain cleaning, and we're going to try to keep this show rated G. We're going to do our best, but some of the stuff we've found, you guys I'm sure you're going to enjoy, because we've got some great stories. But it's amazing. We were talking about squirrels coming up out of a register in our last show, and drain cleaning can be a little more risque, because some of the things that we found in drains aren't exactly family friendly, but we'll definitely try to keep it family friendly. I know I've found, like, in camera, we have a camera that goes into the drain line, right? We've got multiples of them, and we had one where the little boy flushed a submarine down the toilet and was clogging the toilet, so that was a fun one. Found some other...
Well, I had one time where I actually pulled the toilet and everything else, and I found a Ninja Turtle. But at least they live in the sewer, so that does at least make a little sense.
That's
but
awesome.
There's some things that didn't, that I found down there. Yeah.
Ninja Turtle coming out of the sewers. So yeah, Dan. So describe a little bit about what you do in our newly formed drain cleaning division, and actually maybe a little bit of your backstory. We got a little bit of banter time. We got a little bit. So you and I have known each other for 20
years, yeah.
Or something like that. So we've known each other. We used to work for another company when I first moved up here many years ago. You were just getting into the trades at the time, if I remember correctly. I've been in the trades for quite a while. I'm a little older than him, because I'm, again,
You're old.
I am an ARP member. So read that what you will. But what is it that take it away. Your drain cleaning experience.
Well, I've done a lot of work not only in California, but also did a lot of work in Virginia when I was out there going to college. And I've been in the plumbing industry now for about 24 years. So yeah, I guess that means about 23 years ago we met. And worked for multiple different companies, and some of the advantage of working with multiple companies versus sticking with one is you learn a lot of different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
But you also get to learn, some plumbing companies are good at certain things where other plumbing companies might be better at, like water heaters. Other plumbing companies might be better at just drain work. I also had a chance to work for a company that was really into doing septics and septic systems and advanced septic systems maintenance for those and all that. So I got a very
well-rounded,
24-year experience of dealing with sewers and drainage and things like that, to be able to figure out problems, figure out ways to help solve problems. Found a lot of interesting things along the way, like a Ninja Turtle.
We were kind of talking off air. We've had a few where we'll go into some of them. So I know of one story that wasn't you, but it's similar to the one that you had, where there were condoms found in a sewage ejector, and our technician showed the gentleman of the house the said condoms, and the gentleman let our technician know that he had a vasectomy a decade before, so those were not his. So there was a discussion that he and his wife had leading after. So our technician left, and the volume definitely raised in the house on that one. And you had a similar experience. Tell us a little about your experience.
Same type of thing. Opened up a propane tank, a septic tank,
Yeah.
And looked down there, and I was like, "Sir, these, you can't flush these. It's not good for the system. If it ends up in the leach field, it's going to totally mess things up there." And he goes, "I don't need those." And so we were kind of like, I was like, "How old are your kids?" Because he was, he could have had kids that possibly could be older, and he goes, "They're too young." And long story short, I did a job across the street, and I saw the house up for sale about 6 months later. Apparently, a private investigator was involved, and the truth came out, and it was not good for that family, which is unfortunate.
It's
of course,
unfortunate, but it is something it's very interesting working in people's homes because you learn a lot about people, and sometimes they don't necessarily want you to learn about. And one of the things that, this is a good thing for people to know, because we were also talking about garbage disposers. So there's this idea that you put it down the drain and it goes away.
Yeah.
It's a garbage. No, it's not a garbage. Garbage disposer should be used as simply for what's left on the dishes after you put everything into the compost heap or the garbage can. Do not flush anything other than toilet paper and other human waste down a toilet. Because anything that is like a wipe or anything that doesn't dissolve within water is going to be there.
You know what the sad thing is you look at some of these products out there and it says flushable.
Yeah.
Yes, that means it'll get down your toilet, but that does not mean it's good for your septic system, or ejector systems, your drains.
Yeah.
Especially if you have older drains or you have cast iron, things like that. Wants to grab everything.
Yeah.
So
it is not a garbage. So especially if you're trying to hide evidence, do
not go down there.
Use it for said
purpose. If nothing else, there's some people out there maybe starting to sweat a little bit because they might have evidence in their septic tank.
Do not flush those. Do not flush cocaine or heroin or fentanyl or whatever else you put down there.
Human waste and toilet paper only.
I'm getting the cut it from the producer. All right, we're going a little too far.
I just want to
doing my
say
best to keep it to G.
No, you're doing fine. I just want to remind you, I haven't had a chance to work closely with Dan, even though we've both been involved with ABT for a long time. So when we get to describing what goes in the toilet and all that, if we just keep it to organic, because Andrew goes way too far with that, and I end up cutting his mic every time. Just solids, organics, whatever. We don't. When it comes to bodily stuff,
solids is okay.
Well. Except for some, like for instance, we've told people don't put grease down, and what do? Well, it was a fat, or don't put fats down, and it's a grease. It should be fine. No, fats, oils, grease. It's it's all this.
And actually,
so the best thing is human waste only.
Fats, oils, grease. So there is it's an acronym that we use within our industry, FOGS, and municipalities have a huge issue with FOGS. If you know anybody that works in the municipality's sewage system, like I've got family members that have built septic system or municipal sewage systems, and my aunt was a chemist at a sewage treatment plant, and my uncle was an engineer. My brother-in-law builds them.
It's a huge issue.
FOGS is one of the biggest issues they have, that and salts. And but one of the biggest issues is these fogs, because they literally turn into concrete. Mm-hmm. They will solidify to the point where they have to get in there with jackhammers to get them out of the pipes. So not just on the private side on your own house, but also think about the municipal side. You definitely don't want to be putting any fats, oils, or grease down your drains if you can avoid it. So what does that mean? That bacon that you just cooked, put it into a jar and put it into the compost heap or put it into the garbage can. Don't put it down your drain.
I even go as far as wiping the pan after it's cooled down a little bit. It's a little warm, but still cool. I wipe it with a paper towel to help get that grease out, because when you wash it, you still have some of that grease going down, and so that's a way of.
And what's normally what we do is we wash it with hot water. It's hot for about maybe 10 feet of the line, and then the line cools off, and then all of a sudden it solidifies again. So,
and it's always in the part of the pipe that's horizontal now.
Right.
So it doesn't solidify in the part that's vertical. It's
right.
In the part that's horizontal, and
that's where thick layer.
That's where you have the problem, and then you end up having to call us out.
Yeah.
So I do have some tips when it comes to taking care of a kitchen drain.
Move forward with that. That's perfect.
So as a tip, I love telling my customers that. We want to take care of your problem. We'll take care of your problem as long term as we can. But some of that has to do with not abusing the line.
Right.
Okay. And ways to help keep a kitchen line open. People don't realize this, especially if you have a garbage disposal. Once a week, if you fill up both sides of your sink, or the one, if it just happens to be a center, but if you have two basins, you fill up both sides with hot water.
Right. Plug it and fill them up.
Exactly. And then what you do is you open them up and you turn on your garbage disposal. Your garbage disposal will act like a pump and actually pump water through that pipe. and help blow out anything that might be sticking there. And then the water that's still draining down behind it on the other side of the sink will slowly just help make everything continue to move. And if you do that trick once a week, it's highly unlikely that you're ever going to put something down there. Not impossible, but that you'll have to call us out for a kitchen sink stoppage, which is great. I mean, if we can keep you from, avoid some of these smaller things, then by all means, we want to help you with that.
Yeah. As long as the system, and this is something else, as long as the system's designed properly, plumbed properly, that has grade, the appropriate grade, and doesn't have any offsets or breakage, drains work really well. Like, I know a sewer, you can literally flush a diaper down a sewer. If it's installed correctly, it will take a sewer or a rag and no problem at all. But when we have breakages, we have old pipes, all these sort of things are not enough grade, then we start to have those issues. So as long as you don't abuse your system, you can go 20, 30 years without actually having to call a plumber out to clear a line. But eventually the system will need to be replaced, because I don't know about you, but nothing lasts forever, including ourselves. And people are kind of upset when they have to replace a sewer until you start pointing out the fact that sewer is 50, 60, 100 years old. And when we pull clay pipe out of the ground all the time, that we haven't used clay pipe like that since the turn of the century. I mean, occasionally you see it every once in a while. People, you still use it for municipality, but not on private. So it lasts a long time. It's a multi-generational system. It'll last at least 2 or 3 generations. So anyway. So don't abuse it. So what are some other kind of tips you've got for taking care of drains and not abusing them?
When it comes to using the garbage disposal, a lot of people think, well, they just use it to get rid of all your garbage, old leftovers, things like that in the fridge. I had one person try to flush or do an old fish that was sitting in. Yeah. It was, my cable smelled nasty for months. I did not want to go into my truck. It was bad. But, a garbage disposal reality, it was meant to first, when you have leftovers or whatever else, you throw the leftovers away. Yeah. At our house, what we do is we wait till the, trash day and then throw it away right, the night before trash day, and then take our trash out. Yeah. And, But then, there's always some stuff kind of still left in there that, or on your plate after you've already scraped it, but there's still stuff. That's what the garbage disposal was meant for. It wasn't meant to get rid of leftovers or garbage. It's really kind of misnamed. But the other thing is what people do, and I don't know how many times I've seen this, is they want to put something down the garbage disposal. They take whatever it is, plop it in there, and they drop all of it in at once, and then they turn the water on, and then they run the garbage disposal. They stop hearing it there, they turn the water off, they turn the disposal off, and turn around and walk away. Yeah. And all they did was take all that, chew it up, put it down the part of the horizontal pipe.
Right, or the trap. The P-trap
right, but most of the time it gets past that, but it hits that horizontal pipe, and it sits there. And then let's say they don't use that for 24 hours or sometimes even longer, and then the next time they use it, they have a stoppage, and they don't know why. Yeah. Well, the reason why is because they didn't properly use the garbage disposal ahead of time. The biggest thing I've also seen when it comes to disposals...
water is what flushes all the stuff through the system. So you want to run water for a couple of minutes after you use
the disposer.
Well,
that's what I was just about to say, is after you get done with the using the disposal, you could turn the disposal off, but you want to run water for another minute or two, or even longer if you have you have a really long 2-inch line going out to the next 3-inch or 4-inch line. Yeah. You want to use a lot of water to help flush everything out. And again, that goes back to my other tip. Filling up that sink and blowing it all out every once a week is always a good thing.
Don't use it for that.
Yeah.
Just don't put a large amount of food down it. It's just put that in the garbage, put that in the compost heap. Don't use a garbage disposer is not really a garbage disposer. It's just.
Can I say something about that? Because I think it's generational too. Because so I grew up. I'm Andrew. You and I are close in age, although you are older, like an older brother. But we grew up in a time where my dad was a contractor, and he built houses all over the place, including the house I grew up in. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like they would take my dad who built the house, including the plumbing, would go to the refrigerator, would take out anything we didn't eat, and my dad would just shove. Like I grew up
Right.
watching meals go down that thing, just like I mean, crazy, right? And
I
so
did the same thing.
so to me, as an adult, then out on my own, I started using the disposal in the same manner. It's only been in the last few years since, knowing ABT and kind of what we do. Honestly, I grew up watching my dad who built it, just shove entire meals down there. And we never had any problems that I'm aware of but again, I was a kid. Maybe we did. But I would think my dad who put the system in would know not to do that.
But that goes back to, it was a new system and it probably would work fine. So, and not to say you're going to necessarily clog your drain. It's just, it's kind of like, do you drive your vehicle redlining the RPMs all the time? You don't want to stress the system, right? So you raise your hand, you do. Yeah, and yeah. So you don't want to stress the system. So if you can keep it, just to the minimum, you're going to have less likely of a chance of it clogging. Like I was saying before, if the system's installed properly and you have the right size piping and there's no offsets, no breaks, proper grade, it will handle all this stuff.
Well, one thing I always tell my guys is I say, every time you go to a call, there's no such thing as a stoppage fairy. There's no magical, mythical creature that comes out and makes stoppages happen for no reason.
Right.
There's always a reason.
Usually a reason.
And it could be a bad pipe, it could be bad installation, it could be a lot of things, it could be abuse. And probably the best thing when it comes to do it yourself is not abuse the line.
Yeah.
And cause problems for yourself. And if we can help you through some education to be able to do that, then by all means, we want to help you with that.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some other tips? We kind of went through a couple off air about some tools and some DIY drain cleaning.
Well, there's a Zip It tool that you can find at most hardware stores. It's great for lavatory drains.
Yeah.
And it's also great for showers. Yeah.
Tubs.
And tub drains. Because a lot of times the clog is literally hair and it's usually above the P-trap. It's right there.
Yeah.
But you just can't get to it with your hands.
Yeah.
But so using those little Zip It tool, it can work great.
And it's just a piece of plastic with some little barbs. It kind of looks like like those sharks that have like the saw sharks that you see in cartoons and stuff. It's got little barbs on it, and they work great. My wife has long hair, and I keep one in our house. I keep one in the RV. And I have an extra one because I just use it. I use it probably on a monthly basis just to clear the line out. It takes the hair out. And 90% of the time, a backed up shower and or a lavatory drain is just hair right at that first couple inches. It doesn't go much further. Oh, our phone's ringing. Sorry about that. So the Zip It tool is great. There are some that's a name brand, kind of like Band-Aid. There are other products out there on the market. But you can go to the B&C, A to Z, any of those places and pick one up. Go to the plumbing department and say, I need a drain cleaning tool for my sink. They'll point you in the right direction. They're like $5 or $10. They're really inexpensive. So I would recommend, if you don't have one, go out and buy one today.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. They're cheaper than a plumber.
They're way cheaper than us, that's for sure. Way cheaper.
So another thing that we have...
I can't even drive to your house for $5. It costs us more in gas. So, yeah.
So another thing that we do have that is great for helping maintain lines. It's not great for opening, but it is great for maintaining. Is some type of bio cleaner. We have a product called Total C, which is absolutely awesome. Made here in Utah, here in the United States. We've been to the plant. It's kind of a real cool experience. I actually saw a ball of Crisco that was eaten by this stuff. Was it 20 years ago or something like that? And it still hasn't solidified. It's still liquid.
So speaking of fogs, this product actually really helps with fogs because it's got an emulsifier that holds the fogs in stasis in a water form, so it doesn't allow the molecules to glob onto each other and form a solid again. So it's pretty cool stuff. We really like the product if you haven't figured that out. But there are other products on the market.
Yeah.
They're not as good as the product that we have, but we have a great product if you need it. And you can call us for that at 530-230-9092. Anyway, what are some other
Another
things?
shameless plug.
I'm full of
But yeah, the BioClean or the Total C or anything along those lines is great. And it's also good for your septic system.
way. Yeah.
Because your septic system
And your
actually,
RV. I use it for my RV.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Septic systems work because of the bacteria in the tank that helps break things down. And if you don't have enough bacteria in your tank, what'll end up happening is it will cause you to have to pump more often.
Yeah.
So,
And how often should you have your system inspected or pumped?
well, it should be checked every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. And that's not something we actually do, so don't think we're trying to sell you on something. It is just something that is recommended by everybody. If you look it up online, every 3 to 5 years, have your septic system inspected.
We
Especially,
do the inspection, but we don't do the pumping.
we don't do the pumping, but especially if some of you that are on smaller lots, like half-acre lots, you may not have space to put another leach field in, and you may be stuck with the system that you've got.
Take care of it.
So take care of it, because we've seen situations where they had to go from a relatively inexpensive installation and leach field, which was originally installed, to an engineered system, and now you're talking, what are they running? They're like $40,000 to $100,000. I mean, 40
yeah.
grand to 100 grand, and they take a lot of maintenance. I mean, we have to yearly inspection on those things. So
some
if
of
you can
them,
avoid that, by all means, take care of your septic system.
some of those systems now are so sophisticated that they tie in with a phone line, and that phone line notifies the plumber that there's a problem, oftentimes before the customer even knows that there's a problem. And so that system is actually, like taking self-diagnosing, tells us that there's a problem, or whoever the plumber might be that is tied in with it, and they actually go out and maintain it. So I mean, sophisticated systems.
Highly
Take care of what you got.
It's the same with getting your HVAC system inspected. Get your septic system inspected, because you're talking some major bucks if you got to replace that thing, and it doesn't, when you factor in how much it costs, even on if you're on pipe treated water, how much it costs for the sewer tax, you're still way ahead with a septic system. It's still a lot cheaper with a septic system. So have that thing inspected on a regular basis, and it's kind of like changing the oil in your car. Why do you change the oil in the car? So you can avoid catastrophic failure. That's all we're trying to do, is avoid catastrophic failure.
The downside about septic systems, I mean, yes, the upside is taking care of and everything else. They can last a long time.
Yeah.
But what I always tell people is, you're always good to, if you are on a septic system, put $50 a month aside for future septic work, because eventually, I mean, you are going to have to get pumped. There's no such thing as a septic system that doesn't need to be pumped. Eventually it'll have to be pumped. Eventually some things might break in it. Things will happen. Put money aside for that, because think of it, pay yourself, because when the bill does come with the septic system, the downside, it's a big bill.
Yeah. And that goes
when there's issues with the septic
system. That goes
system.
with all systems in your house. I mean, people forget the fact that it costs money to own a house, and the typical average is 1% of the household cost of the house. So if you got a $500,000 house, it's going to be about $5,000 a year on maintenance costs. So you should want to factor that into your mortgage and start putting that money away, because it's not if, but when you're going to have to spend some money to get things fixed.
Yeah.
Wow, I think we'll talk. We got to wrap this up. So we're going to talk a little bit about our drain cleaning division. So we just started this drain cleaning division about 30 days ago, not even 30 days ago, and we got off from gangbusters. But we're still trying to keep our guys busy. So we've got this special. So any drain in your house, this is for residential customers only, $97, we will guarantee that we clear that drain, and if we don't, we will not charge you. So for $97, it's kind of a no-brainer. If you got a clog, if you got a slow drain or something like that, have us come out there for less than $100. We can clear the drain, and if we don't, it doesn't cost you a thing. So and we'll give you recommendations on what to do next, and you're not out anything. Give us a call on our phone number. You can reach us at 530-230-9092. That number again, 530-230-9092. You can find us on the web at abtplumbing.com. You can also find us on Facebook. Please like our Facebook page. We share all this content and got a lot of interesting, entertaining stuff. And we actually video these shows so you can watch us if you want to see our mugs. And as Dan pointed out, we kind of have faces for radio, but
Kind of.
Yeah. Rosalie doesn't. We do.
Yeah.
You might want to see Rosalie. Anyway, thanks for listening to us, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.